just got done watching Prey on Hulu, and this is going to be a spoiler review. My thoughts. I'm a huge Predator fan, so to have another installment after the Predator, I mean, they have been hyping this movie a lot. A lot of the famous YouTubers out there have got an early screening. Fans got a screening at San Diego Comic-Con, and it's at 92% on Rotten Tomatoes as we speak of this recording. Like, this has been getting a lot of hype, so it's been getting me absolutely excited. So before we jump into Prey and my thoughts on it and just overall what I think worked, when I think maybe didn't necessarily work, I got to get this bottle opener, my Predator bottle opener. Corona. You can have anything in the house as long as it's a Corona. And I gotta pop me a Corona, baby, because this is a special occasion. I really didn't think I was gonna get another Predator film after The Predator, Shane Black's The Predator, because it was so god awful. It didn't make. I think it was such a bust at the box office. Like, I didn't think I was gonna get another one. So cheers to all my Predator fans who have been waiting for a good Predator film, another one at least. And cheers to you guys. That tastes so good. After watching Prey, here's my thoughts on it. Is it better than the original? No. The original is just something so special. It is so 80s. It's mega stars. It is the peak of superstardom with Arnold Schwarzenegger, my boy Dutch. Dutch as a character is one of my favorites too. Even though he doesn't have a crazy amount of character development or character to him, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. But his there's so many things taken from Prey to Predator, the 1987 film, when it comes to at least the final showdown. But the 1987 original Predator is just such a masterpiece when it comes to the soundtrack, the action sequences, the way they could play on different tones and genres. It just really mixes well. When you put on Predator, like, and you've seen it 1,000 times, you could absolutely watch it 2,000 more times. Now with Prey, this one is interesting. So I was wondering how the tone was going to be. And 15 minutes into the film, I just kind of knew right away, like, this is not necessarily going to be Predator. This is not going to surpass Predator in my mind, because I could already tell kind of the tone, the feeling. That's not a bad thing. It really showcased to me that this was along the lines of Predators, with Adrian Brody, which I really loved Predators, and that tone where it's a little bit slower. It was not a high pace pretty editing. It wasn't high pace like Predator 2, which I actually really freaking love because it's so out there, so gory. But this is what I like about the Predator series in a whole, is Prey is something different. It's a film about a character who, our protagonist, who, shout outs to the actors. I'll get to the names and everything and the director's name right now. But I just want to say, like, this movie is another installment of it. It just brings something different. It brings such a great, like, indie kind of. The same director did 10 Cloverfield Lane, and the look of this film it really reminded me of The Revenant. The acting is stellar. The everything. Even though I don't know what the budget is, they don't tell you the budget of this film. I'm assuming it's a very low budget. There are some CGI moments that weren't that great when it comes to the overall, like, the animals and stuff, but the Predator looked fantastic. The Predator looked great. Of course, he's not CGI like the Ultimate Predator, which is great. But some CGI moments did look good and some didn't look as clean. The bear still looked kind of fake, but it worked. It still worked for the film. But the tone of this film, and this was like a personal story, of this one of our actress, and I believe her name it's Amber Midthunder as Naru, and she's a Comanche part of the Comanche tribe. And this really reminded me of kind of like the Predator novels, the Predator like comics and stuff, where it's a very intimate story. And that's what I loved about this film, is that it seemed like they wanted to go the route of, they wanted to tell a story about Naru and how the struggles of her wanting to prove herself to her, not only her brother but her tribe, and they wanted to tell that story. And then they give you crumbs of the predator landing on Earth and stuff, but then they implement the predator itself, which I really appreciate because it really took the time of this character. And Naru was she was awesome. She was a badass. There is one issue I have towards the end, but other than that, like, she was really good. The actress was fantastic. The one thing I really liked about this actress is her eyes. Her eyes conveyed a lot of the just kind of emotion, and you just really get lost in those eyes, and you get lost of her. I really appreciated her training kind of with the axe. I like the axe throwing parts. I really liked how, like, when the bear attacked her, that she just didn't scream. She's very calm, and I think that kind of goes with all the Comanche tribe, like, members. Like, they're very calm somewhat. They're very they're hunters, man. They're hunters, and she didn't scream when the bear was going after. Like, if it was her time for death, it was her time for death. So I really appreciate the director sprinkling a lot of that stuff in, like, really showcasing the traits of this character. So when we get to, like, a lot of the scenes in this movie, it's not a surprise that she's this strong-willed and her determination. And I think that's what the big thing about this film, and a big thing about her character than maybe like Donald Glover's character or Arnold's character or even Adrian Brody's character, which Adrian Brody's character had, they all had like determination, but she had something to prove. She had a little chip on her shoulder, and, you know, going from Hollywood and like the wokeness era, and, like, you know, always bringing like female, trying to make the female protagonist strong like the men. I think this was really natural, and I really, really loved the connection she had with with her brother, and her brother being that natural, like, leader and hunter. And oh my god, his fight scene with the predator towards the end before his death, like, that was a great fight. That was a great way for him to go out. He went out like a warrior, and he was calm. Like, they both shared the same trait of being calm, cool, collective, and having that fighting spirit. She just kind of went it a little different ways than he did. Like, she knew when to run, she knew when to fight. Like, I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I'm really sad to see that the brother did die. I was kind of hoping maybe like they have a team up and they both defeat the predator, if they're gonna defeat the predator. But the two just really, they really did the director did a great job of really building up this character. Not only not making her kind of like a Mary Sue, she was really good at things. Like, she was good at, you know, the medical aspect of things, but I think growing up, she had to learn all that stuff. A lot of them had to learn a lot of, like, you know, the hunting aspect. So she was automatically, not only she was good at that, she persevered. And I think the one moment that the director really showcased that is when she's stuck in the kind of like the quick mud, the mud that's sinking her in. And that's what I loved about it. Like, she was not like squirming around. She knew that she had a limited amount of shots of throwing that axe and getting out of there. And I really appreciate that in the character. And that's what you don't tell me she's strong, you show me she's strong. So Naru was fantastic, man. She was a great protagonist. She was a great character. Is she gonna win me over, like, you know, Donald Glover, Adrian Brody, and Arnold? She just brings something so much different to the table. You know, Arnold brings the macho, the best of the best kind of scenario, while Donald Glover brings the diehard, which is kind of funny. You know, he brings the diehard kind of thing, where shit happens, you know, and he's getting too old for this shit. Lethal Weapon kind of stuff. He brings Donald Glover brought, like, he had a chip on the shoulder too, but he was like, dude, I have to deal with the shit. If he's in my city, I'm gonna take him out. While Adrian Brody, what I really appreciate Adrian Brody, because a lot of people did not like his or just overall him being a protagonist, but I loved him. I thought he was great. He was the assassin of all the protagonists. He knew that he couldn't have too much attachment to the characters that he was around, and he was a killer. While Naru wasn't necessarily, she was trying to become like a hunter. You know, she wanted to prove herself, and she gradually just really became what she needed to become to defeat the predator. But I had one issue towards the very end on that one. But the director's name is Dan Trottenberg, I believe. And let me take a swig. And Dan's direction was great, man. I mean, because this movie could be super really boring, and I could see people getting bored with it, but I wasn't bored with it. I think it was a little lengthy. I did feel the length on it, but man, the shots he made, the world. Like I said, the budget. I don't know what the budget was, but he made this world ever expanding. Like he brought this, he made me intrigued with not only the tribe but everything that was surrounding, like this forestry, this nature aspect to it. So even though he didn't have a huge budget to work with, he was able to expand the world even with little resources he had, or film locations. And he did a hell of a job with the shots, with the cinematography, with the setup of a lot of scenes. This is a slower paced movie, and you could kind of go you can go back to back with Predators in this movie, and you could see the same kind of a little bit of the tone. But with Predators, they really rely on kind of the nostalgic feeling with the soundtrack on that. I appreciate a different soundtrack on Prey because the soundtrack was really good. I thought it really fit the film. But you could really, if you take the soundtrack out, both the music out of Predators and Prey, it's a very slow pace, and it's kind of by the beat of kind of a similar movie. It's just a little bit different because they're trying to get off the planet while she's trying to hunt this whatever this is, trying to find out what this is. And it's still slow moving, going from this here to there, and sprinkled in with a little bit of maybe kind of like not jump scares, but overall like stuff that's going to make you kind of wake up a little bit. But I didn't mind that. I like how he took his time and really kind of opened that world and really kind of made it kind of more unique in a in a Predator franchise. I mean, it's not as unique as like, because we've read some of the comics, some of the novels, but this is a survivalist, definitely like kind of feeling it has to it, which I really appreciate. The Predator itself, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite look. I appreciate, it's kind of, to me, it's kind of like year one, or phase one of a design of a Predator. It was very interesting. Like I would have to like kind of really like go and see the pictures of this thing, because I think the eyes were so far up, and it kind of reminded me a lot of, a little bit of Alien, it kind of reminded me of more of the Celtic Predators with the mandibles. They were so much more kind of wider and bigger, while the Jungle Predator it was very kind of tight. So the Predator design, it was pretty cool. It was very unique. The skin was even like a lot darker. It was huge, which was great. What I really loved about this Predator, and they call it the Feral Predator, which is a pretty cool name. I like the name of it. I know we got it from the Predator, Shane Black's of the Predator. I would have liked this Predator to use his mandibles. I think the best thing out of the Predator was that Fugitive Predator was using his mandibles, which was really cool because you never really seen that in a Predator film. With the Feral Predator, what I really appreciated in this film, like I said, in Shane Black's film, you see this a little bit, but I think this is really turned up to 11 and really so exciting, is seeing the actual Predator jumping from tree to tree to high grounds to low grounds. Like the effect of this thing just moving was so good, especially when they're her and the other one of the other Comanche warriors, like when they're running, and you see it in the trailer, the little the fucking the red trigger, whatever, towards that guy's head. You see the Predators really move fucking fast, like book it, right? So I really love how he really showcased, because that was the one thing like we love about the Predators, like this thing could move, this thing could jump. And the first Predator, that was the imagination, like just imagining this the Jungle Predator just move around from tree to tree, and to see it perfected perfectly was fantastic. And on Dan's part, let's drink another. So as you could tell, I'm excited. I'm so glad that we got a great Predator movie, that fantastic Predator movie. Is it better than the original? No. So where would I kind of rank it at? I would rank it like, I think it's right there with Predators because I really, really love Predators, but my heart, I just love Predator 2 that much. So it's Predator, Predator 2, and then it's like Predators, and then Prey, like right there. It wasn't like I was hoping it'd be my number 2, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Like this film did everything I want and get excited for. The director wants to do more films. This is kind of like the groundwork, and then he wants to do something different going forward. And I think this is the guy who needs to take over. And I think this is so much hype and so many people were talking about it. They're probably going to generate really good numbers. I'm just interested to see what the budget was. I'm thinking this film was maybe a $90 million film, maybe lower, maybe $70 million film. Cause I'm pretty sure Dan did a good job on a budget wise, and there wasn't a crazy advertisement. But what was good about this film was people are talking. People are saying how good this film is, and it's a really freaking good Predator film. It's a little bit too. I just don't think it's better than the original, and I honestly like Predator 2 is just so bonkers, so great, so out. I appreciate the craziness that Predator 2 brought, but I appreciate the realism and the storytelling that Prey brought. Like they both bring something to the table. Now, the one thing I didn't really necessarily like was the plan towards the end and how she defeats the Predator. There's so many things that she had to get right with her plan to defeat the Predator, and there's like 20 things that have to happen, or she has to survive all these attacks. And she does. Like, it's like a 20 out of 20, right? Against a Predator. And with the people are going to probably say, like, well, Arnold got, he defeated a Predator. Well, Arnold got lucky. Okay? We tend to forget that, yes, he set up the traps, but it was pure luck that he would end up being at that spot, because he was getting his ass kicked before that, and then he didn't even think, he thought that trap was for another trap, but it ended up being for the trap that ultimately defeats the jungle Predator. So that one is pure luck. And then when you say Donald Glover, that one was a clean defeat, but I thought the choreography was really good on that, so it kind of made sense that he defeated this Predator, and this Predator was armless, so he had a disadvantage. The Predator, the city Predator, when he gets defeated with Donald Glover. Adrian Brody going against the Berserker, using the same methods that a lot of kind of like what Arnold used. And then here's another one where I was kind of confused a little bit. Like, she said that the feral Predator couldn't see her, I think because of the flower that she had on that she was using for the medical use and all that stuff. But that was kind of weird because it was like super small. So I don't know if I had to go back and like watch it again and see, like, was it really that tiny little thing that just kind of cloaked herself? So that was odd. But yeah, like, everything just had to go right. And don't get me wrong, like, it was a cool ass fight. Like, she kind of outsmarted the feral Predator, and then the use of the mask, and then him to shoot that gun and to just kind of come back right at him was pretty dope. I love the shot where when she gets him to go into that sink, the mud that sinks you, and then you just see the Predator's like dreads come up, and it's like nothing to him. So she had to be like, I mean, he had to shoot that gun in order to defeat like himself, that Predator. So what if he kind of just went up to her and just like, just killed her with his bare hands, or with the wrist blade. I think the wrist blade was already done at that point, but still, so there's so many things that had to happen for her to defeat the Predator, and it all lined up. I think, in my opinion, they should have used a tag team method with her and her brother, because her brother was kicking its ass, and you saw a little bit of the tag team work in that fight, and she was trying to use the gun. Like, I thought that was going to be the end. I thought we're at the finale. But then, of course, when the brother dies, okay, we got another 20 minutes left, and I just felt like if I had to go back, I would say, like, let's defeat the Predator by a tag team perspective. And not only that, like, and I get it, because she has to be the one that defeats the feral Predator by herself. which is cool. Like, you know what? It's a good payoff at the end of the film, but it still doesn't make a lick kind of not enough sense to me to say that that was like 100% awesome. Like, it was fun, but like I think I would have changed that a little bit. I would love for a Predator film, kind of like Concrete Jungle, the game, with Scarface coming back and doing a lot of the shit. I would love for a Predator film where the Predator either wins or something. The Predator is supposed to be the baddest of the baddest. We have debates with Predator versus Batman, Predator versus Terminator, blah blah blah, but we never really see in the films the Predator really dominate and really just I know it's not an intriguing film if he's going to kill everybody, but I think you can make it an intriguing film. It's been done in Concrete Jungle. I just want the Predator to win one time. I really want the Predator to win. What else about this film, man? This film was great. I really had a good time with this film. I was not expecting to sit there and actually have like a film on my hands, because that's what it felt. It felt like 10 Cloverfield Lane. If you've seen 10 Cloverfield Lane, it really felt like a 10 Cloverfield Lane movie with the Predator. There's tension in there. There's character development. It really felt like that. It felt like kind of like the similarities are right there, and that's absolutely not a bad thing. I really like 10 Cloverfield Lane, and I really appreciate. Also, I mean, I think the pacing is right on par with like the first film too, where it's really kind of not necessarily like, well, the first film is focusing on this mission, while the first half, and the first half on this film is focusing on Naru, her relationship, her ambition, her goal, and then it kind of goes into the gore and the blood fest. And the gore on here was great. Like, the action sequences were fantastic. With I think they were French, the French colonists or whatever. I think they were French, or there might have been something else. That was great. Like, the brutality in that. The new gadgets were cool. You see the netting. And how, but the netting, other than like in Predator 2, is so much a little bit different, because you see like the back end of it and just like really crumble not only the log but the man. You see this Predator. This Predator was definitely more primal. This Predator was definitely more like grabbing his weapons and really kind of machete everybody. He's really hands on with everybody. And I was kind of like shocked that he didn't have the cloak going on when he's defeating all these guys. And I was kind of a little bit shocked too. Well, I wasn't really too shocked, but when he drops like these little kind of 3 little bombs that just decimate everybody, and the colonists don't know what it is, and they don't even know this is an alien. Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff here. This is a solid Predator film. I'm coming away with this like I came away Predators, man. I really feel like I feel the same when I watch Predators. I know some Predator fans don't like that film, but I really loved the hell out of that film. I thought the Berserker Predator, I'm absolutely coming back, because I thought the Berserker idea and the lineage, and like, these are the cousins to the Yautja, and the difference between the species, like I came out of it like blown away. I'm like, dude, that's a great, and the look of the Berserker was awesome, and I was like, this is great. And then I really love the storytelling, that the slow pace, but yet we did get some of the action scenes. You get the original Predator in there, the Jungle Hunter, the design at least wise, and I thought I came away like a happy camper. And this one, I'm a happy camper with a little, but different, and a different attitude. But I'm still coming away like, man, that was a good idea. He was showing me a lot of things, a lot of potential. But then the potential was just showing me like kind of like this phase 1 of the Predator, which was really cool. Like I said, I don't know if I love the design. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Ultimate Predator, a little bit. It had the same kind of like movement and mannerisms. I would really love to see a statue of this thing. It's not my favorite look, but it's a really cool look. He's using the shield. It really kind of, the shield part really had me thinking like Wonder Woman. So, and I love Wonder Woman, but like in my Predator film, I don't know if he necessarily needed the shield, but this is a solid film, man. Like, this is a hell of a film. This is a hell of a Predator film, but this is a hell of a film. It's a good film. It's a fantastic film. It's really checking all the boxes on cinematography, soundtrack, acting, and she did amazing. this actress, and everybody else too in the film. And I can't wait to rewatch this. And I think they have the Kamachi. Am I saying it right? Kamachi language. So that was my main issue when I heard about the Prey film. Was like, I don't want it like, English. I want it kind of like apocalypto if you're going to do this. And they do. They give you that option, which is great. You can have both options. And I think there's even a French subtitle option too, or dub. So I'm thinking, Hulu, hopefully Disney kind of gives Dan the keys, and let's see where this goes, because I'm optimistic, man. This is amazing. This is amazing that after the dumpster fire that was the Predator, that we got Prey, and Prey is just shows me there's more life to this franchise, which I thought was just absolutely dead in the water. We don't necessarily. I think I made my peace with Arnold not coming back and reprising Dutch Schaefer, which is fine. But like, if you're giving me storytelling like this and you give me characters like this, like, I'm all on board on introducing more characters, because I've always, as much as I want the Predator to win at the end, I've always viewed these films and this franchise as like kind of anthology films, right? Like, they're not all too, like, they're a little bit connected, but are anthology films. I really feel like they're anthology films where it's kind of this perspective of a viewer seeing each film and seeing each film that of a person defeating this ultimate warrior. And that's how I kind of view it. And that's how I kind of like make the excuse of like, these guys should be absolutely decimated by this ultimate, Yautja, this Predator. But to think it that way, where it's like, okay, it's kind of like picking up a different novel or a different graphic novel or something, a comic or something like that, right? Where each story is kind of telling of this, kind of like Mad Max, where Mad Max, everybody is telling this legend of Mad Max, and they're telling the stories of what people have defeated this monster, this alien, this Predator, So Prey was fantastic. Prey was great. You guys need to watch this. It is a little lengthy. I did feel length. I don't know if it's because it's kind of late at night and I'm tired, but I was intrigued. I was fascinated. I was blown away. I was scratching my head a little bit, and then it was a lot of emotions. I can't call it a masterpiece, but I can call it a fantastic Predator film. I wanted to call this a masterpiece. I wanted to believe that this was better than the first, but in my opinion, it's not. It's just me. I just love Predator 2 so much. But if you had to say like a really like from structure, if I was to rank it again and I say like, okay, take out Predator 2 because all the crazy and the schlockiness that's out of there, and just tell me what's your prime, film of the film, like soundtrack, blah blah blah, like a technical great film. It's gonna be Predator 1, even though they have some issues, and it's gonna be Prey. I would put Prey in second if I had to be like that critic. If I had to say like technically this film is a superior movie than Predator 2. But like fun wise, like I love Predator 2. I love the design of that Yautja. Like it's so freaking great. But this movie was good. This movie was absolutely good. It's right there with Predators. I really love Predators too. So all in all, the Predator franchise is great. It's just the only one that's like a sore thumb is the Predator. The Predator really ruined, and it sucks because in the back of my head watching Prey and the lore that Shane Black was just destroying about, fucking using spinal fluids to make an old. It's stupid. I'm glad Prey really kind of showcased the Predator going against animals, like these predators, right? This wolf, this bear, this snake, and he's skinning them. I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was great. That was great. That's when I knew I was like, I'm in for a ride. Definitely in for a ride. So, Prey. If I had to give it a rating, I would give Prey an 8 out of 10. I would even go so far as 8.5 out of 10. I didn't absolutely love it, but it brought a smile to my face, and it really brings this franchise back to where it needs to be. So I'm hoping once I get to watch it a couple more times, we'll see if my ranking changes now that I know like how the pacing is and overall just rewatching it and then having that option of rewatching it with a different kind of dub on there. So we'll see. I want to thank you guys. Let me know what you guys thought. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this movie. Like, I would love to hear what you think. Like, where do you rank this at? Are you in love with this, or are you saying, like, are you kind of like feeling what I'm feeling? But don't get me wrong. Hype was crazy hype. Like, saying it's better than the original, but it was fantastic. It was great. So I'm Dan Mackey, Dan Son. Push that subscribe button. Push. Just push the subscribe button if you want more content and more Predator. So, and then like the video and tell everybody else. I'll see you guys later. Grab a tick, grab a seat. Make sure you got some good popcorn to eat. I'll see you at the cinema, guys. Or at home watching Hulu.